we'll take it on that. Okay, so really all I'm doing at the moment, well today, is questions and answers and anything to do with assessment 2, because I think you're all through assessment 1. And then I'm going to go on and explain what's involved in the final assessment, that's assessment 3. And try to explain to you what we're going to do with that, because that one's a wee bit more difficult to handle than the stuff that you've done so far. I don't mean in terms of difficulty for you, but I mean in terms of the way we would normally do it. So there are going to be some changes on that. Has anybody got any? I'm just confirming this. Chloe, I know you're working in assessment 2, as you've just told us. Is everybody else that's here, have you completed assessment 2?
No, I haven't completed it yet.
Right, how far off? How far are you with that?
I'm like in the middle. I've done the introduction and everything. I'm in the middle sort of section. I still need to do the conclusion and everything, the glossary.
Right. Okay. Right. See all that stuff. Okay. So, what I'm going to say to you is this. Normally, I would say to you, right, I want you to look at, if you're going to go onto the YouTube channel, look at the ones for your own class. But I did one that will help you or anybody else that just need to know how to finish off the report. If you look under admin, it's basically it's an admin lecture cover. Okay, it's red in colour. That's how you'll identify it. And basically what happened was their link went down, and I basically did a run through on my own with no students, going from how to do a title page all the way through to how to do your appendices at the end of it. It's about 50 minutes long. But you don't look at the whole thing. But what some students have been doing is they've actually been like, they'll watch the bit on, say, the title page, and then they'll pause the video and then go and do it. And then after that, do that. So you can work it that way, but it covers absolutely everything. Okay, so if you got into the channel, just basically look at it in terms of it's a red video. It's class admin 1A. Okay. Okay, so that might help you with that. If you also look back on some of the other stuff for those like Chloe, I think we covered some of the other sections that you still to do on the previous video for this class. So I can maybe have a look at that one. Okay. And maybe I'll help you on things, okay? Right. Asim, where are you with things at the moment?
You said my report's finished, it's done.
That's great, so that's fine, that's smashing. Okay.
So would we ask, do we need to...
Yes, certainly go.
Sorry, do we need to submit that through Moodle or anything, or is it just...
You don't, I'm doing it for you.
Right, okay, you've got it, that's fine.
There are that many problems with basically with Moodle, etc. at the moment. I don't want to take the risk.
Right, okay, as long as you've got it, then that's fine.
Yeah, because it basically means it'll be a while before they go up, but they will go up.
Right, okay.
But I've got a checklist of where everybody is at the moment.
Okay.
Okay, it's just that I've already 2 classes this morning, so my head's burning a wee bit in terms of remembering who's doing what. Okay, so that's just a situation with that. Jack, how are we?
Yeah, I've finished assessment 2.
Right, okay, so you again, so everybody pretty much is now just basically looking for assessment 3. So go on to that. There's a PowerPoint that I made up this morning. It's not on my city. So what I'll do is I'll send you all a copy of the PowerPoint with the email I normally send that after the session, and also the link to this particular session that we're doing today. Okay, so don't worry about not being on my city. I'll be sending a copy to you. Okay, so given that, I'll start on this one, and we'll start looking at what is required for assessment 3. This is pretty straightforward, but I don't know how you are when it comes to doing presentations or things like that. It's still not been totally confirmed whether you actually need to present this, because I'm not explaining to us how on earth you're going to do it if that's the case. So I'm working on the assumption here that I'm just gathering the evidence, so no matter what happens, I've got enough stuff to get you through. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Right, no bother. Okay, so I'll start on this one. Okay, so you're tasked to complete and present a PowerPoint presentation. Now, because of the level this is at, it's got to be of a decent standard. A white screen with writing on it is not enough. Okay, It's going to be based on one of the protected characteristics under the Qualities Act. So you've already looked at them, you know there are 9. You can either choose one that you covered in your report, or you can choose another one. Now, there's no link between Brexit. I don't even want to hear anything about Brexit on this. It's only on the situation regarding basically the protected characteristic. So if you've looked at certain things, like maybe work practices or whatever, in your Brexit report, go and choose something like disability or gender or sexual orientation. Pick something else, okay, and do your presentation on that. Using your research material, a decision must be made on how to make this information available. Now, what we mean by that is it's up to you how you decide to do this presentation. But obviously there are limitations in terms of time and the kind of information that we want on screen. Okay. The bottom one says you'll be assessed on your skills in oral presentation, discussion, and preparing documents. It may well be we won't be bothering with the oral presentation, but we will be discussing it as you're going on with it, and also preparing certain documents. Everybody okay so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, thank you. Okay, so what we're looking at, an overview of good presentation skills. If nothing else, some of the stuff in this PowerPoint is going to do you if you actually have to do presentations in future. It's giving you some tips in terms of how to manage it. And also the documentation required for presentation. That does not just mean the PowerPoint itself. Sometimes you need to prepare additional information and basically along with that. And that's the reason why that's here. And there is one piece of information you'll be required to pass this assessment. Okay, so a couple of things. It's got to be of a high standard. The language has got to be formal, so don't use slang. And the information you use is accurate and makes sense. And it's sequenced and linked. In other words, you've thought about how you're going to put it down in the presentation. So the whole thing flows and it makes sense. Make sure your language use is appropriate for the purpose of the audience, okay? And also remember that normally if you were doing a presentation, you'd be answering questions. So that's what we're meaning by responses. Responses take account of the contributions of others. You may still be asked questions, you may be asked questions rather than that you need to answer. It will depend on what I see in your PowerPoint. If it's fine, I might not ask you questions, it may well be under some cases I might. And depending on where you're answering questions or you're doing a presentation, don't panic. All that does is make things worse. Okay, so for presentation. For this presentation, you need to prepare a 5-minute presentation about a chosen characteristic. Okay, how much information can you talk about in 5 minutes? Give me some idea of what you think.
You've got to introduce it, so you've got to base on what you're going to talk about. So you may need to talk about the Equality Act a bit at the beginning.
Yeah.
Say what that is and what the protected characteristics is. And then explain which one you want to choose, and then go into detail about places that help and all that, and how police enforce it. So,
you know, Chloe, when you're actually saying it like that, I'm opening this to the rest of you. Does that make 5 minutes sound easy or hard?
Easy.
Exactly, that's the whole point. But so many people get themselves into a flap because they don't know, or they don't think, oh my God, I don't know enough. If you actually prepare stuff in the right way, and I'll be going to talk about that, a 5-minute presentation is essentially a walk in the park. It's actually quite easy. Think about it for lectures. We stand up and talk for 3 hours. Okay, so it depends on the way that the way you approach a presentation has got a lot to do with how well you're going to be able to manage how you prepare it properly. Okay, so there are 3 stages to any kind of presentation. First one is planning it, then preparing it, they're not the same thing, and then actually presenting it. So planning it. What's it going to be about? What's the purpose? Are you trying to tell somebody detail about it? Are you trying to inform them? Are you trying to sell them an idea? Not in this one, you're not. Are you trying to highlight an issue? Maybe. or is it a mixture? You decide. And depending on what you think the actual purpose is, that's going to affect the way that you approach the presentation itself. Sorry. Okay. So, target your audience. The audience you would know here is basically is going to be fellow students, so they might know a bit about. They should know a wee bit about it, given the fact that they've done a couple of assessments relating to it. Okay, so how you approach that would depend on how much they already know or they should know. This next one's quite an interesting one. Will they understand all the terminology I use? Does everybody know what the term terminology means?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anybody not sure? Okay, well, assume you've got a good idea what we're talking about. It means basically in quite a lot of subject areas there are terms or words that are used that are specific to that area. Okay, and it's important that you know what the word is, how to pronounce it, and what it means. Okay, and that would normally come across in terms of if you are actually presenting to other people. I'll give you an example from a couple of years ago. So I was teaching social care students, and one of them was doing a presentation on viruses of all things. Little did they know what was going to happen now. Anyway, they were talking about different transmitted viruses, and they were looking at respiratory viruses. And they came across a word and they did not know how to pronounce it, so they had a go. And instead of pneumonia, they said pneumonia. I can understand why, and if you've ever seen the spelling of the word pneumonia, you'll know why, because it begins with a PN. Okay, but if you're doing a presentation and anything like that, you need to know how to pronounce a word. Okay, and you also need to know what that stands for, because I guarantee if you got to the bit where people are asking you questions, the first thing they're going to turn around and say, "What pneumonia?" However that term is, and you then would need to go in and explain it. So this is what we mean in terms of planning and preparation on it. Make sure you understand everything that you potentially might be putting down. Okay? And also, what's their attitude going to be when I say something? If it's meant to be a joke, are they going to laugh? Okay? If it's meant to be serious, are they going to laugh? If it's meant to be serious and they're going to laugh, you might have a problem. Okay? So you need to think about what's going to happen. Decide what's going to be in your presentation. As we say, double check the brief. And spend plenty of time getting to know your topic. Okay, honestly, if you've been asked to do a presentation in the past, how much time do you actually normally spend putting it together?
At least like 2 weeks or something like that. Like,
it's supposed to be 2 weeks, but how much is that normally?
Usually like 3 days. That's
I'll be honest with you, Chloe, you're actually being ambitious with 2 days. I know people have tried to pull one together in 2 hours. Okay, what about the rest of you? How much time do you normally spend on presentations if you pull them together?
Depends how much you know about the subject.
Absolutely, it certainly does, Tony, you're right. The more you know in advance about a subject, the easier it's going to be. You know?
Any class presentations we've been given to do throughout the year, we've usually been given like 2 hours to do them, or like even an hour sometimes at most.
Well, if I tell you here you've got 2 weeks to do this, what does that suggest to you?
That we need to know the topic quite well.
Absolutely, spot on, Chloe. Exactly, that's it. You need to know the topic. You need to know the topic fairly well. Okay. What I want you to spend time. Be careful with this. Spend time. Once you finish the presentation, if you think it's all right, send it to me and I'll go through it. And I'll give you it back and give you comments on it, same as I've done with the rest of your work. Okay, so you can do it on that. Other things, I know this one I've got up here's got a white background on it, but try not to. Try and use some sort of basic design on it if you can. But we're going to be looking at in a wee bit more detail about how do you pull things together in a presentation, and also what the other documentation is going to be. That's a great quote in a moment by Benjamin Franklin, who was a He was an American. I don't know how you describe him really. He was involved in quite a lot of things, including banishing slavery. But he came away with the quote: "By failing to prepare, you're preparing to fail." And when it comes to a professional presentation, you think about it. At some stage during your career, whether it be as a lawyer or even as a law student at university, you probably will be asked to pull a presentation together pretty quickly. If you learn the basics now and understand how involved sometimes it can be, that's going to help you. Okay. So just think of it that way, because the better the presentation is, the better it looks on you, for one thing. Okay, so here's part one where people either go over the score or they don't put enough in. Okay, and that is that most people forget that a PowerPoint presentation is actually visual. It's not supposed to be all words. How many people have the lecturers give them a presentation and it's a slide covered in words? So you're telling me none of you have ever had that, where you've got a presentation up and it's all words from the start of the slide right down to the bottom?
Different lecturers do different things.
Absolutely, but have you ever came across someone that's done it that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And what do you think when you see normally I look at it and go, oh God.
Usually just shake your head back and go, I can't no, I don't want this again.
Shake your head, put your head under the desk and pretend they're not there, exactly. Right, okay, so a couple of tips when you're doing a PowerPoint slide. The most points you should have on a slide is 5. Okay? If it's simple, straightforward statements, maybe a sentence and a wee bit, the most you have is 5. If it's a longer point, then 3. So here's the question. If you're putting statements on your slides, where's the rest of the information going to be?
In your head.
Where's your paper you're holding or in your head?
It's either going to be in your head or it's going to be in your notes. Okay? There's nothing to say that you cannot use notes. Preferably use cue cards. Do you all know what a cue card is?
Yeah.
Does anybody not? Okay, so basically a cue card puts a lot more information relating to a particular slide. So you know how I said I need paperwork over and above the presentation? What I need actually is a copy of the notes that you would use if you're presenting. So if you've got 10 slides, the ideal way to do it would be you would have 10 pieces of additional information, as much as you want. Normally people would put it on a type it on a postcard, or they type it in a Word document and then cut it up into wee squares and use those as cue cards. What I need you to do is put that information that you would put on your cue cards, put them in a Word document and have it separate. So slide 1, what the information would be, and then move on to slide 2. Okay, think of it as being a script, or the things that you would cover over and above what you've got on the slide or on the presentation slide. Everybody follow that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure? Because I'm hearing slight hesitation in voices.
My only concern is how much information you're wanting on these cards, because if I was doing a presentation,
yeah,
it'd possibly be more like kind of bullet points to remind me of things. So I wouldn't necessarily write out a lot of information.
Yeah, Tony, that's absolutely spot on. Because what happens is, if you have prepared your information properly, all you need to put on the bit for each slide are prompts, okay, or bullet points. And what you would find is you would normally expand on them as you were speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is exactly the right way to do it. Okay.
But what I'm saying is, like, the evidence you're wanting, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily, if I was doing it, like, to actually present it to you, I wouldn't actually necessarily write out lots of stuff.
I wouldn't. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not looking for you to write out lots of stuff. What I'm looking for you to do is give me bullet points over and above the information that you've got on the screen.
Right. Okay.
So basically, what would happen is, if you're doing the bullet points for slide 1, and you've got, say, 4 statements up on screen, for slide 1. The ones you have in your cards will expand, that the bullet points will allow you to expand on what's on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, so it doesn't have, I'm not looking for a novel here. If you've got 5 or 6 bullet points, maybe up to 10, depends on yourself, depends how much you've got to think about, then by all means put that on in the Word document. It's slide 1, heading slide 1, put your bullet points, then heading for slide 2, put your bullet points. Give me that in the Word document, okay?
Okay.
So your slides one at a time.
And also, I was going to ask, like,
yeah,
you know, it's only 5 minutes, so how much time have we, you know, how much information can you actually put out in
right, okay. So the way you find out if you've got enough of seam is by timing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've got the presentation ready, if you get somebody to help you with this, great. But the way you would do it is you would normally speak in your normal voice, basically talk through it, totally nothing, ignore the clock, and then see what you've got read, see what the clock registers at the end. If it's under 5 minutes, you know you need to add more. If it's over, you need to cut it down. Okay. I know approximately what most people would need for 5 minutes. So if we don't actually get to the point where we need to present it, I can usually guess whether you're likely to make it or not. I'll give you an idea. If you give me a PowerPoint with 3 slides on it, you're not going to make 5 minutes. Unless your notes are absolutely fantastic. Okay, so it's up to you to, I'm not putting a limit on how many slides you use. But having said that, if you had about 20 or 30, I think I'd be a bit concerned. It's maybe a bit too long. But it's always a really good idea to time yourself. I had a girl a couple of years ago who was panicking mad because she didn't think she had enough for 5 minutes. By the time she finished, she spoke for 8.5 minutes. And she wasn't very pleased when she had to get back and told to cut it down and do it again. You know, so but she hadn't prepared, she hadn't timed herself. She just thought, she just basically thought, oh my God, I'm not going to have enough, and basically kept preparing more. So just time yourself. That you'll have an idea of where you are roughly by then. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it not kind of depend on how fast you talk as well?
Exactly, it does. I mean, everybody is different. Some people will start off at a reasonable pace, but normally what happens is you find when you're doing a presentation, when most people, they start off faster and a wee bit higher, then gradually your voice goes back down to its normal pace. If you've ever heard, have you ever heard yourself back when you've been doing a presentation if it's been recorded?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very nice, is it, Chloe?
No, it's horrible. What was it, last year in my college course, we had a class for presentations.
Yeah.
And basically every week he would give the topic and we had to come in the next week and do a presentation on it.
Yeah.
And each presentation had to be 10 minutes long. You had to stand in front of the whole class and do it. It was torture. And he videoed every single one of them. Horrific.
The funny thing is, I mean, like, since I've been doing these videos on here, the first couple I played back and I thought, that's not me, it sounds really weird. When I'm actually quite used to hearing my voice through a microphone. So I found it a little bit, so I've had to adjust a little bit in terms of how I'm doing these things rather than how I think I would do them. So it's always quite useful sometimes to listen, if you get a chance, to actually record, even just audio record what you're doing and play it back so you get an idea of how you're approaching it. One point that we'll cover later on is that we don't want you to do is we don't want you to be a member of the police. It's amazing how many people, because they think they've got a gap with nothing on it, they need to fill in with something to go on the next slide. If you're doing a professional presentation, it's better if you actually don't do that. There's nothing wrong with a wee gap. It's quite useful sometimes. Okay, so we've talked about that in terms of the slides. Okay, some people would prepare handouts for the presentation. You ever came across that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Some people will put handouts. Some people, they'll make sure there are photographs on the presentation, maybe graphs to demonstrate a point, images, embedded videos. Do what you like. Okay, there are many different ways that you can, for want of a better expression, improve the quality of a PowerPoint. It's a visual aid. It's meant to look at basically visual things, not just type text on a board.
So see if you put a video in, is that included in your 5 minutes then?
Yeah, but don't give me a 4.5 minute video.
Well, what about maybe a couple of 30-second clips or something? Or?
Absolutely. I mean, something, anything up to I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, one of the science students was doing something on the developments in the space race. I think it was to do with the Mars rover at the time. And he emailed me saying, "Alan, can I put a video clip in my PowerPoint?" I said, "How long is it?" It went 20 seconds. I went, "Yeah, no bother." And he put it in, and it described what he was talking about perfectly. So sometimes something like that can be really, really useful in terms of putting things across. But I would say to you, if you're going to embed a video into your PowerPoint, be careful with it and test it to make sure it works. Or if it's a link, test it to make sure it works, because you're better to know in advance rather than on the day you go to press it and nothing happens.
Okay.
Okay, but there's nothing wrong with putting a video clip in. I wouldn't go over the board, overscore. I wouldn't put like 3 in or something like that, but 1, 2 very small ones are absolutely fine.
Okay.
Okay, are we all right? Will I move on from here? Unless anybody's got any questions.
No.
Okay, thank you. Right, next up. As I said, text, not too much slide, speak off slide. That means speak off slide doesn't mean you're standing there and speaking off it. It means basically that you've got your notes prepared and you're relying on those and what you've remembered rather than the actual text on the slide. Make sure your graphics are relevant and interesting. Okay, and make sure the design isn't too distracting. Okay. Right, what do you think of this?
It's kind of packed with information.
It's
Right,
probably more of a handout you'd give out than something you'd put on the PowerPoint to read.
Yep, I'll tell you something else. Try doing that tongue twister at the top. It's a cracker. Arachidonic acid affects advert afferents and alters anabolism. Okay, that'll get your tongue moving all right. Okay, but if someone put that up in a PowerPoint slide from me, I'd be like that, aye, right? You know, two things come across to me with that. One, laziness, because you can't be bothered basically sorting out notes and getting you the important points. Okay, and also, if they put that straight up, if you look at the actual text that's on there, it doesn't make any sense anyway when you go down to the different sections. Okay, so that's got too much text on it. What do you think of this one?
It's alright, but there's still a bit much on it, and there's like a lot to read in a fast. Like, say if you're clicking through it, we're not going to be able to like read it all.
Okay, how do you think we can improve it?
Maybe just like
I'm going to say, we'll leave this to anybody else. Get Chloe. Let's see if there's somebody else is getting any ideas. How can we improve that?
You could maybe change like the background color and things, the layout maybe.
Okay, so what way would you change what way would you change the layout?
So you could maybe move like you could move like the bit where it says keep your audience interested, maybe move it to the center, lay it out a bit more nicer. And you could put the graph onto the pie chart onto a separate slide.
Funny enough,
it's a bit squashed.
You've got the right idea with that, but what I would do actually is see the keep your audience interested section. I would move that onto a separate slide, and I would then be taking that out. I would then move the graphic into the center. And I think that would make more impact in terms of what they're trying to get across, in terms of how audiences receive messages. And then you've got a different slide, keep your audience interested. You can then expand on the points as you're going through them.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty much the same idea. I think we all agree there's too much on the actual slide. So therefore you would need to, ideally you would simplify things by moving part of the information onto your next one. Right, okay. Tell me this one here, the question is this overkill? If you saw that, what do you think?
Too many things to look at that are all flashing and moving.
Exactly, I know. God tell anybody with epilepsy, that's all I can say. Okay, I cannot stand those little eyes that are moving, for one thing. Okay, that would put me off buying a suit for that place. Let's be honest. Okay, yeah, you're using graphics. Yeah, it's jazzy, but it's not giving. It's not bringing the kind of message, the message across totally. Okay, so that's an extent when you're using too many graphics. So you need to sometimes you need to simplify them. Using a straightforward layout with maybe 1-2 graphics will get a message across a lot better than something like that. Okay. Right. Okay. So finishing a PowerPoint. Ideally, what you want to do is now, most people would probably do this in their, basically in their notes, like a conclusion or whatever, and then say it from there. And maybe they want to recap on, say, 3 or 4 things that they've highlighted in the presentation, and that would go on their will be their second last slide probably, because your any questions one is normally your last slide. So that's what we're talking about in terms of producing the PowerPoint, and also producing the notes that you need to supply along with it. Anybody get any questions they want to ask on that? The rest of this is actually just tips for doing presentations. I'll go over them with you if you want me to, but it's up to yourself on this. Anybody, anything you want to ask about what we've done so far?
No, I'm fine.
I don't know if I've missed you talking about it, but we just to talk about one predictive characteristic, and that's just talk about it. Is there anything else in particular that we need to add?
No, it's that particular characteristic. So you're not looking at how Brexit affects it and anything like that. It's
Right.
just basically you select one characteristic, find out as much information as you can regarding it, and make up a PowerPoint related to that. I mean, to give you an idea, I'm not giving you any ideas. I'm not sort of like suggesting anything, but like there are so much information on disability and different types of disability that you would have no problem whatsoever getting related information. It would be the same with maternity rights. It would be the same with race. It would also be the same with gender inequality. And you know, so there are quite a few of the characteristics that you will be able to get loads of information on. It's just up to you to decide what's available and how you want to put it together.
Okay.
Okay, but the first thing I would do is quite simply go back, refresh your memory, go back to the Equalities Act website or something, and look clearly at what the 9 characteristics are, and then choose the one that you think you've got most interest in. If you've got more interest in it, that's going to make this easier. Okay, does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Anybody else get any other comments regarding this, or are we okay?
Just when will we get a definitive answer about when we will need to do that, like as in actually present it or not?
I am hoping to get. I'm involved in a meeting next Monday, and I'm hoping then I'll get a definitive answer on basically on how they want us to approach this. Now, to be honest with you, it could be there could be any kind of 3 ways. It could be supply me the information and that's it. So your PowerPoint and your notes, and then that's it. That's stage 1. Stage 2 could be I need to have a quick one-to-one interview with all of you, just discussing your PowerPoint and what you thought about the topic you chose. The third one would be do the full presentation. I'm not quite sure how that would work, but they could turn around and say that, but they would then need to explain to us how on earth we're going to do it. So right. It's liable. It's going to be it'll be one of those 3. In terms of the second one, we have a discussion regarding it. What I would actually do is I would have a normal Zoom session, but I'd give you all separate times, say every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes. And I'd tell you, I'd let you know in advance what time I need you there for. So say for instance, Tony, you were first, and I say, right, Tony, if you basically log in at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I might say, okay, Chloe, you're next. I'll get you to log in at 1:15. You follow me? So they have a time slot for each person. And what we would do is we would discuss your presentation together. So they could ask for that as extra evidence.
Okay.
Okay. So it's going to be one of those three. Whatever one it is, it's going to. I hope whatever one they get is not going to be the one that's going to make you panic. Okay, whatever that is. Some of you might think talking to me for 15 minutes on your own might be enough to panic you. You never know. Okay. So that's us. Do you want me to go on to give you tips about presentations? Are you happy with what we've done so far?
Yeah, I'm fine so far.
Fine so far. Okay. Azir, what do you think?
Yeah, I understand everything. Hopefully it should be okay.
Okay, Chloe, are you okay with this so far?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Asim?
Yeah, I'm fine.
That's right. I think Emma's vanished. I think because I think she's still working on her report, so it may well be that she's looking at this and going, "Oh, wait a minute." Okay, so I'll get this. Well, I'm going to finish off unless you've got any questions about anything. That doesn't necessarily just mean comms. If there's anything you're concerned about with any of your other subjects or anything I can help you with, by all means ask me and I'll see what I can do for you. If you're all happy, then we'll finish up from here. If there's any questions you have regarding this, by all means email me as normal and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. As a lot of you know, I do get back very quickly. Okay. Failing that, and I'll hear from you during the week if you need a tip with anything. Failing that, I'll speak to you all next week.
Wait, when's this due for again, Alan? Sorry.
Could you say that again slowly, please?
When is this due for?
This is I'm giving you 2 weeks to get it ready.
Right. Okay.
If you want to get ready, if you want to decide to bash ahead and get it done in a couple of days and send it in to see what I think, that's fine. I don't have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll probably do that.
Yeah, but I'm assuming obviously you'll have worked from other subjects, and that's why I'm saying 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. We'll take it from there. All right. If you anything you want to speak to me, if you want to speak to me and I want to about something, just hold on. Just basically hold on at the end of this. I won't terminate the meeting for I know everybody's away. Okay, and then we'll take it from there. But thanks for coming in today, and I'll speak to you soon.